Welcome to our presentation on Assignment 1A.
Educator is teaching a course for the very first time. She has no teaching experience, but she has experience in her field for 15 years. She considers herself an expert and frequently gives her advice to others. The course that she will be teaching is 18 hours and spans over 5 weeks. She spent her whole summer prepping for the course and made a list of topics that will be discussed. She also believes that the discussions that are going to be made will make the students understand the concept. Using the online process, she will be giving 5 tests which are worth 20% each. She also planned that she will be giving multiple choice, true/false and matching questions on tests. In order to make students like her, she will be making the first test very easy, but the last 2 final tests very lengthy.
Ms. Educator did not use Bloom taxonomy to assist her to support students to meet the higher level of learning. Bloom taxonomy, original and new domain, help identify the level of knowledge you want your student to reach. The components are as follows. Number 1, evaluation or evaluating. Making a judgment about information or materials presented. For example, Ms. Cater used computerized tests and the marking was done online. Ms. Cater did not use the time to properly evaluate her students using different methods.
Problem number 1. There is 1 test for each of the 5 weeks, resulting in only summative assessment. Ms. Educator assesses her class with 5 heavily weighted tests. Without formative assessment, she's not gathering feedback throughout the duration of the course. Problem number 2. The important part of the job is the teaching part, right? Ms. Educator states this around 2 minutes into the video. Ms. Educator states the important part of the job is teaching, suggesting that assessment is not important. Teaching is an important part of the job, however, assessment is an effective tool to determine if students are meeting objectives and suggests if instructional strategies need to be altered. Problem number 3. Quote, I cannot wait to transfer all of my knowledge to my students. Ms. Educator is caught up in transferring knowledge rather than teaching her students and letting them come to conclusions themselves. Problem number 4. All tests are multiple choice, true and false, and matching. Ms. Educator states this is an easy and fast way to mark. There should be a variety of assessments so that any possible limitations due to assessment are minimized. Problem number 5. All tests are based on weekly lectures to see if her students remembered everything she said. Assessment should not be based on memorization skills alone. Everyone learns differently, and there needs to be multiple methods of assessment in order to address and identify a variety of student skills. The second principle of the American Association for Higher Education and Assessment states, assessment is most effective when it reflects an understanding of learning as multidimensional, integrated, and revealed in performance over time. Problem number 6. Ms. Educator is a great speaker, so she's not even going to use PowerPoint. Ms. Educator is only presenting material in one format, lectures, which may not benefit all students and their different learning styles. Assessment is meant to analyze and develop new information and concepts rather than simply recall information that has previously been presented. Problem number 7. All 5 tests are based on completed lectures. First test is light with only 5 questions, while the last 2 tests are going to be lengthy and possibly surpass 50 questions each. Ms. Educator states she believes in being fair, yet the first test only assesses very limited introductory material. Meanwhile, her last 2 tests are on material that was crammed into her last 2 sessions. This is unfair assessment due to the content of each test. Problem number 8. Ms. Educator is worried about her students liking her as a friend rather than being their teacher. It is important for a teacher to be respected, but not necessarily liked. The teacher is there to teach and assess and not become friends with the students. Problem number 9. A lot of content was squeezed into the last 2 lectures. Assessment works best when it is ongoing, not episodic. Rather than have the majority of the content in the last 2 lessons, it should have been better spread out throughout the course.
Solutions. Ms. Cater should ask her students if there are any other ways she could further help them, for example, doing different learning activities or keeping extra office hours. She must be aware of the value and purpose of teaching the course to her students, which is to assess them and use the assessment results in helping bring improvements. These improvements will help her shift her teaching style to maximize effectiveness of teaching to improve her students' learning outcomes. Second solution, Ms. Cater needs different ways to summative assess her students. She needs many different methods of assessment. Basically, her student needs to understand the concept and study the material to apply it in the assignment, test, or whatever form of assessment. She should determine how her student studies to determine how would she assess her students.
Ms. Cater lacks the educational values to put the student as first matter of importance. Ms. Cater giving convenient, infrequent, memory-based quizzes. Focuses on completing her own planning instead of taking into account how the students want to change her way of teaching. Cater does not make her teaching style dynamic and interactive. Cater tests her student infrequently at large gaps. These gaps make the student very vulnerable to fall behind. Ms. Cater has not made parents, other educational experts, a part of her panel team to self-improve her teaching style. Does not support her lessons with any relatable accounts, anecdotes, or accounts of experiences. Are you a D student? That's not right. And the way to solve this is if Ms. Cater could have other metrics, other alternative ways to reward her students. Ms. Cater should feel proud about the great position she occupies in society to uplift people with her power of knowledge and education. The takeaway message is Ms. Educator should make students the center of focus in her teaching. And lastly, the references in APA citation